The vote hall was silent, colder than the void outside. Rows of the oldest rulers sat in their high chairs, their faces hard and unreadable. No one moved. No one spoke at first. The air smelled of metal and fear, though fear was not for them, it was for others. At the center, a tall figure raised a hand, the signal for the vote to begin. Whispers filled the room, voices too soft for anyone outside to hear. They spoke of Earth, a small blue planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. They spoke of humans, a species they thought they understood. But understanding humans was a dangerous mistake. The humans grow too fast, said one ruler, his voice calm but heavy with warning. They learn, they build, they rise before we notice. Another ruler shook her head, her silver hair falling. Like a curtain, they are reckless, but dangerous in their courage. She said, they do not fear death, they do not wait for orders, they act. A third ruler leaned forward, eyes sharp like glass. The galaxy has rules, he said, and yet humans break them without thought. They challenge, they fight, they survive where others would fall. The room grew quieter. The rulers, listening to their own fears, fear of a species they had always thought beneath control. Then the tallest ruler spoke, her voice cutting through the silence. It is time, she said, for the council to decide the fate of Earth. She gestured toward a glowing panel in front of each seat. Red and green lights shone, waiting for the decision. The rulers stared at the lights, at the choice, at what it meant. One by one, the votes were cast, fingers pressing the cold buttons. Red meant exile, green meant mercy. Though mercy was rare in this room, silence followed each press, as if the universe itself waited for the answer. The panel lit up mostly red, the color of warning, of ending, of finality. The tallest ruler nodded slowly, as if confirming a terrible truth. Earth is to be exiled, she said, her voice steady, almost too calm. They will leave our systems. They will be alone. The humans do not know yet, but they will learn soon. Some rulers smiled faintly, thinking the humans would break. That exile would destroy their spirit, their will, their unity, but not all rulers were so sure. One older ruler shook his head, his eyes clouded with doubt. They do not break easily, he whispered, almost to himself. Humans do not wait to be told twice. They act, they adapt. Perhaps this will not end the way we think. Outside the hall, stars shone silently, distant and cold. The message would soon reach Earth, traveling faster than the fastest ship. It would tell humans their place in the galaxy. It would try to scare them, to make them obey. But humans did not obey, not fully, not easily. Somewhere on Earth, a young scientist looked up at the sky. She did not know the council had voted. She only felt something shift in the air, a tension, a warning, and without knowing why, she began to work, to build, to prepare, to move. The rulers had made their choice. Red lights glowed across the hall. Exile had been decided, but they did not know. They could not know. Humans were already moving, already planning, and humans do not wait to be told twice. The message reaches Earth. The message came quietly, faster than any human could imagine. It traveled across space, skipping planets, weaving past satellites. It reached Earth without warning, without hesitation, and when it arrived, it changed everything. In a small command room, blinking screens showed the words. Red letters glowed with the cold. Final warning, Earth is to be exiled, the message said. The words hung in the air. Heavier than any stone, leaders stared at each other, disbelief in their eyes. Some laughed, thinking it was a joke. Others trembled, feeling the weight of the universe. On city streets, phones buzzed with the same warning. People stopped walking, stopped talking, stopped breathing. They looked at the sky, the stars, the small blue dot that was their home. A silence spread across continents, from the busiest cities to the quietest villages. For a moment, the world felt smaller, weaker, and afraid, but fear did not stay long. Humans were not weak, and they did not wait. In laboratories, scientists pushed buttons, tested engines, and designed ships and farms. Farmers planned for life in strange new worlds. In schools, children studied the stars, learning to reach beyond their home. Everywhere, humans began to move, to think, to act. The leaders called meetings in panic. They whispered, argued, and shouted, "How can we survive this?" Some asked, "How can we fight exile?" Others said, "But humans did not ask questions. They built answers. Their minds were fast, their hands steady, their courage strong. News spread like fire, faster than the message itself. People shared plans, shared ideas, shared hope. No one waited for orders from above. No one prayed for mercy from the distant rulers. They trusted themselves, and they trusted each other. They understood one truth deeply and clearly. Humans do not wait to be told twice. Outside the capitals, in small towns and villages, communities gathered, deciding how to survive, how to prepare, how to fight if needed. Ships that were only dreams became designs. Engines that had never run hummed on drawing boards. Metal was melted, wires connected, circuits built, and always, someone looked at the sky, imagining the stars closer than ever before. Meanwhile, the rulers watched silently. Their drones hovered above Earth, recording, measuring, judging. They expected chaos, panic, and surrender. They expected humans to bow, to beg, to crumble, but instead, they saw organization, courage, and speed. They saw humans acting, thinking, building, and for the first time, doubt touched their hearts. A young scientist laughed softly in her lab. She did not know she had become a part of history. She did not know the rulers were watching. She only knew that the world was theirs to save, and they would not fail, not now, not ever. The message had arrived, the vote had been counted, Earth had been told its fate, exile was set. But humans were already beyond fear, already preparing for the challenge, and the galaxy would soon learn the most dangerous truth of all. You cannot tell humans twice. Humans begin to build. The Earth did not wait. The warning from the rulers did not slow them. It only sharpened their minds, focused their hearts, and strengthened their hands. In the heart of every city, lights glowed late into the night. Factories roared with machines, melting metal, shaping steel. Engineers drew blueprints, their fingers flying across glass screens. They calculated speed, fuel, and distance. They planned ships that could leave the planet, ships that could survive the void, the cold, and the unknown. Miners dug deep into mountains, searching for metals older than humans. They pulled them up, shining and strong. They delivered them to factories, where the hum of machines welcomed the new materials. In workshops, women and men built engines, tested circuits, and connected wires. Every piece mattered, every movement counted. Nothing was wasted, nothing delayed. Children watched from windows, imagining themselves in the stars. They learned about planets, stars, and engines. They studied maps of the galaxy, plotting where humans could go. They dreamed of the future with eyes wide open, and the adults smiled, knowing the future was safe in their hands. Farms changed too. Fields were rearranged. Crops were preserved. Seeds stored in vaults. Humans thought ahead, planning for life. Beyond Earth, water, air, food, nothing was left to chance. They prepared for the long journey, and for life in unknown places. Every community became a part of the plan. People shared resources, knowledge, and courage. They communicated without borders, without fear, without delay. Even the smallest villages sent designs and ideas. Every human, no matter age or skill, became part of something greater. They acted together, moving as one unstoppable force. Above them, satellites and drones monitored progress. Some were old, some were new, all sending information to engineers. They tracked metals, fuel, weather, and energy. Every calculation, every test, every adjustment happened faster than any ruler could imagine. The rulers watched in silence, and their confidence began to fade. They had thought humans would panic, would beg, would fall, but humans were not waiting, not hesitating, not fearing. Ships began to rise from Earth, first small, then larger. Engines fired, lifting metal and hope into the sky. Smoke and fire marked the beginning of humanity's journey. Every launch was a statement, a promise, a warning. We will not wait, we will not stop, we will survive. Scientists and engineers worked with a quiet pride. They spoke in numbers and formulas, but their hearts beat with courage, with defiance, with hope. No ruler could stop them. No vote could command them. Humans did not ask for permission. Humans acted. Humans built. The rulers looked at their screens, stunned. Their plans to exile Earth were failing before their eyes. They saw unity, intelligence, determination, and courage. They saw a species that refused to bow, refused to break, and slowly, a realization grew in their hearts. Exile would not end. Earth's exile would not destroy humanity. Humans were already beyond fear. Humans were already moving. And humans do not wait to be told twice. The rulers start to worry. The rulers watched silently, their eyes wide. Their drones hovered over Earth, recording every move. They expected panic, fear, and chaos. They expected humans to crumble under the weight of exile. But what they saw instead was astonishing, almost terrifying. Ships lifted from the surface, first small, then larger. Engines fired with precision, carrying humans, machines, and hope. Factories continued to produce metal and fuel. Communities communicated without pause. Every human acted as if the exile was a challenge, not a punishment. The oldest ruler, the one who had doubted before, leaned forward. "Do you see this?" he asked quietly, his voice trembling. "They do not fear us. They do not wait. They do not hesitate. They are moving faster than we expected. They are organized, united, unstoppable." A younger ruler shook his head, disbelief in his voice. "They should be panicking. They should be begging for mercy, but they are not afraid. They are preparing. They are building, planning, launching. It is alarming." Red lights flashed across their panels. Data streaming too fast to comprehend. Ship designs, energy outputs, supply chains. Humans had done it all. They had turned every fear the council had into strength. Every weakness the rulers thought they could exploit had been removed. Humans were adapting faster than the galaxy had ever seen. One ruler slammed a fist on the table, shaking the panels. "How can they move so fast?" she demanded. "They are not supposed to act like this. Exile is meant to destroy, not inspire." But the older ruler only shook his head, calm but certain. Exile was never meant to stop humans. It was a test, and they are passing it, faster than any of us imagined. Drones sent back images of cities humming with life, of engines firing, of communities working together, of children learning, of scientists building, of hope that spread like fire across the planet. The rulers felt a tension they had never felt before, a doubt they could not shake. Some rulers whispered to each other, their voices low. "Perhaps we underestimated them. They are not like other species. They do not obey easily. They do not fear easily. They do not wait to be told twice." The tallest ruler, the one who had led the vote, stood in silence, her face hard, but her eyes betrayed uncertainty. For the first time, she wondered if their decision had been a mistake. Exile was meant to remove a threat, but now, it seemed, the threat was only growing stronger. She watched as humans launched another fleet, larger than the first, ships that were faster, more advanced, more daring, and with each launch, the rulers felt their confidence slip. Their carefully built plan to control Earth was failing. Humans were not just surviving exile, humans were thriving because of it. They were proving to the galaxy that nothing could stop them, and in that moment, a quiet truth settled in the council chambers. The vote had not exiled humans, it had awakened them. The rulers had hoped for fear, but they had only found courage, determination, and unity. Humans were already beyond their control, and they would not wait to be told twice. First human contact, the fleet, appeared quietly at the edge of the council's territory. Ships of all shapes and sizes, engines glowing, hulls shining under distant stars. They moved with purpose, calm, precise, and unafraid. Not as invaders, not as beggars, but as humans who had already decided their fate. The rulers gathered, their panels flickering. "Read with alerts. This is impossible," one whispered, voice trembling. They were supposed to fear us. They were supposed to wait, to hesitate, to crumble. But the humans did none of these things. They came prepared, united, and resolute. From the lead ship, a signal was sent, clear and calm. A voice, steady and strong, spoke across the void. "We did not ask for your permission. We only needed a reason." Silence fell in the council chamber. Rulers stared at each other, unable to respond. No one moved, no one spoke. They had expected fear, anger, or surrender, but they received neither. The young scientist who led the mission watched her team. She felt the pride of generations, the courage of a species. She knew every ship, every engine, every plan had been tested. She knew humans were ready, not because the rulers threatened them, not because they were forced, but because they had chosen to be ready. Rulers whispered in disbelief. "They are not like any species we have controlled. They do not beg, They do not obey, they act, they decide, they lead themselves, and the tallest ruler, the one who had voted for Exile, felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She realized that Exile had only revealed the truth. Humans were unstoppable when united, when free, when challenged. The human fleet moved slowly, deliberately, each ship a symbol of determination and defiance. They formed lines, their lights shining like stars brought closer to Earth. Their message was simple but powerful: action before permission, courage before fear, unity before doubt. A smaller ship approached the council chamber directly, its crew prepared to communicate face to face. The rulers could not hide, could not refuse. The humans had arrived not to destroy, but to assert their presence, their will, their right to exist and thrive. In that moment, a young human officer spoke. The vote has been made. The message was clear, but we do not wait to be told twice. We act, we build, we survive, and we will continue, not because you commanded us, but because we choose to. The council fell silent again. No words could match the power of those simple sentences. No vote could undo the courage they witnessed. No law could contain the will of a united species. Humans had crossed the boundary not with weapons, but with purpose, intelligence, and determination. They had shown the galaxy that exile was meaningless, that courage and unity could overcome any decree. The rulers realized the truth they had ignored too long. Humans do not wait. Humans do not fear. Humans do not bow. And humans do not wait to be told twice. Humans step into the stars. The humans did not stop. They moved beyond Earth, beyond the borders of the council. Their ships sailed through the darkness of space, engines glowing, metal shining, hope burning brighter than any star. Planets that had never been touched by human hands were mapped. New colonies rose, built with courage and careful planning. Communities thrived even in strange and harsh environments. No obstacle was too great, no distance too far. Humans adapted, learned, and conquered every challenge. The rulers watched from their chambers, powerless. Their voices whispered fearfully. We thought we could control them. We thought exile would break them. But we were wrong. They had underestimated a species that refused to bow, a species that acted, built, and survived without waiting for permission. On one distant planet, a human settlement celebrated its first sunrise. Children laughed, exploring rocks and mountains that no human had seen before. Scientists and engineers checked systems, refined engines, and planned new farmers and builders worked side by side. Everyone contributed, everyone mattered. Every human understood that the stars were now their home, and that nothing could stop them. The tallest ruler, the one who had voted for exile, stood in silence. Her panels showed ships, colonies, and progress faster than any calculation could track. She realized finally, with a mix of awe and fear, you cannot exile a species that refuses to be broken. You cannot stop a species that acts before being told, and you cannot contain the will of humans. Messages came from the first fleets, not in fear, not in anger, but in calm confidence. We will explore, we will build, we will survive, and we will thrive. The words echoed through space, through systems, through hearts. Every human knew it was true. Every ruler understood it too late. Humans were everywhere. In orbiting stations, on distant moons, on planets full of ice and fire. They built cities, ships, and machines. They learned the languages of stars, the rhythms of planets, the patterns of life, and still they pushed further, seeking new horizons, new challenges, new hope. The council realized that exile had failed, but it had done something they did not expect. It had awakened the full potential of humans. It had revealed their courage, intelligence, and unity. Humans had acted without fear, without pause. They had turned a threat into opportunity, and the galaxy could no longer ignore them. From Earth to the farthest colonies, humans celebrated quietly, not for victory over others, but for the victory of their spirit, for proving that no ruler, no vote, no law could break them. That courage, determination, and unity could overcome any challenge, and that humans would never wait to be told twice. The stars were no longer distant, they were within reach, they were home, and humans, as always, had already stepped forward into the future, into the unknown, into greatness.